Yeah, hello everyone. This is Mr. Afri. Don't forget, I'm a filmmaker, I'm a cinematographer, I am a content creator. Today I want to show you how to work with your layers in Photoshop. We have done several classes on Photoshop. I want to go back and check those classes if you have not seen them. So today, I'm dedicating this particular tutorial on layers and how your layers functions. Now, if you open a new file like this on Photoshop, let's take for instance, if you come to the right hand side in the Photoshop, you will see a side they call layers, channel and path. Today we're dedicating our time more on the layers. If you come to the layers, I have a couple of things, like the first one you see is group, the second one you see is group 1 copy and group 1. These are already files I created there. But right now, let me show you how layers work from the scratch. Now, let's assume that these things are not here. Let's come here and create a new shape. We'll create this new shape and then we'll add a color to it. Now, once you create a shape here, if you come to the layer side, you see the name of the shape, the new shape you just created. So Photoshop are basically is a software that is being arranged. The layers enable you to arrange anything you create according to how you want them to appear. Unlike in CorelDRAW, where you use arrange order to arrange them. But here in Photoshop, you just have to drag and drop and rearrange them. So I've created the first layer here. Let me go back and create the second one. I create the second one and change the color to, let's say, this color. Now, if you see in Photoshop, I have the two colors here. I have the two shapes I created here. The first one is a 9. You can off the eye by coming here to check the one you are working with. When you off the eye, you won't be able to see it again. Now, secondly, let's create our next shape. Let's pick another different shapes and we'll have something like this. Let's change the color to a total black color. Okay, so at this moment we'll have 3 shapes. If you look at here, you see that the black is the one on top of every one of them. You can move the black and the black comes on top of every one of them. Reason this is happening is because the black is the last layer you created, and by order of arrangement, the last layer you created is what will be on the top, on the toppest most of the layer. But we can change them. We can give them order. If you want this last one now to come on top of this black, watch, if you move it across, it will still be in between. That is when it was created. If you want it to come on top of the layer, on top of the black, we just have to come to the layer aspect and then drag that one to the top. You see now, we drag it to the top. Now, if I move it now, it now comes on top of all of them, of the 3 shapes we created. Let's take for instance, let's create a test layer, and then let's create a test layer. We write tutorial. Okay, let's use this color, blue color. Let's use blue. Okay, now we have our blue here. If you watch, if I should hover over this, you see that is where. Okay, let's check our layer. The tutorial layer comes immediately after the first layer. Reason being that we selected a particular layer before we created that particular layer. Let me take it again. Now let's delete our layer. If I click on the first layer on the layer side and then use my text and create any text at all, if you notice the layer you created, the text layer you created, which is tutorial, is now on the toppest most. Reason being that the layer that was selected is the toppest layer. Now, if we select the layer before the third layer and you create anything, it will be in between, it will be on top of that layer. So for whatever layer you created here, you select here and create a new layer, it will be on top of that layer you selected. Let's take for instance this one and let's go and create this shape. Watch now. Now it has become on top of that layer, rectangle 9 we created. Is that very clear? Is that very clear? Now let's dive more. Other things you can do in layer is to rename your layers. Right now, if you watch, we're having a mistake identifying which layer we're working with. Reason being that we have not appropriately renamed our layers so that we can identify it by ourselves. Now let's go this way. Let's rename this circle. If you select this circle now, we'll come here, you see it here. But to rename your layer, just double click on it, on the name aspect. Then it will highlight. You can name it circle black. You can name it circle and then click outside. Automatically rename that layer. So this will enable you to know which layer you are working on. Okay, now we are done renaming our layers. What next can you do with layers? You can shut down the opacity of a layer. Let's take, for instance, this black, let's take it on top. Let's take this black on top. And then we'll put it on top of this. Let's delete other ones out here. Okay, let's leave these ones. We'll put it on top of this red rectangle. What can we do? We can reduce the opacity so that we can see a part of the rectangle. Do you get it now? So this is a design on its own. And I know you must have seen something like this in different areas. So this is what you can do. Secondly, you can reduce the fill. You get. Then you can lock a layer. When you lock a layer, the layer can no longer be moved. Let's lock our circle by clicking on this icon here on the top of the layer. You click on the icon. If you click on the icon of locking the layer, you will see a key will appear on that particular object you lock. That shows you can no longer move this object. Let's try moving it. If you watch, we can't move the circle because we have already locked the circle. But we can move the other one. Let's lock that one too. We'll come back here and click on it and click on the lock. Now we can no longer move it, but we can move the tutorials. Okay, why do you need to lock a particular object in a layer? It's because you may want a particular background not to be moved, or you don't want an image to be moved. This thing applies both an image for any object on the layer aspect. This thing I'm teaching applies to them. You can lock it so that you cannot mistakenly move it. If it's a text, if it's an image, an object, you can lock them so that you don't mistakenly move them. So these are some of the things you can do when it comes to layer. And with time, as time goes on, you will learn more. As you start working with them, you understand more about layer. This is Mr. Afri, and please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on all social media platforms. God bless you. Feel free to ask your question on the comment section and share this to friends that need this knowledge. Thank you so much.